Bhagavate Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Didiyat Nashtuprayeshu Vajreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. Continuing with the discussion on Nectar of Instruction, verse number 5. So last paragraph of the commentary. In this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami advises the devotee to be intelligent enough to distinguish between the Kanishthadhikari, Madhyamadhikari, and Uttamadhikari. The devotee should also know his own position and should not try to imitate a devotee situated on a higher platform. In fact, a devotee should always think, I'm a Kanishthadhikari, or I'm a neophyte devotee, so he won't commit offenses against anybody. He'll remain humble, ready to learn, ready to respect others. But it's only when it comes to preaching or when it comes to dealing with others, he has to know their position, so he can deal accordingly. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given some practical hints to the effect that an Uttamadhikari Vaishnava can be recognized by his ability to convert many fallen souls into Vaishnavism. So Uttamadhikari can convert many fallen souls to Vaishnavism. So that's definitely an Uttamadhikari. And that was Srila Prabhupada. How many people he just transformed their hearts. And that too outside India, America, Europe, Japan, and other countries, Russia. In America, he preached to local Americans, to whites, and some black Americans also joined, but mostly white. Till today, even all the preachers combined in ISKCON, they haven't been able to convert that many white Americans into devotees. Till today, all the preachers combined. And that time it was only Prabhupada alone, single-handed. And same thing in Europe. That was his power. Prabhupada further writes, one should not become a spiritual master unless he has attained the platform of Uttam Adhikari. A neophyte Vaishnava or a Vaishnava situated on the intermediate platform can also accept disciples, but such disciples must be on the same platform, and it should be understood that they cannot advance very well towards the ultimate goal of life under his insufficient guidance. Therefore, a disciple should be careful to accept an Uttam Adhikari as a spiritual master. So that should be the goal. So now we know how to differentiate, how to recognize if somebody is Uttam, Madhyam, or Kanishtha, and we should take decision very intelligently. And it's better, the personal experience, better to just hold on. It's not like going anywhere. Better to hold on before taking initiation, before making the decision. And then again, in this verse, Rupa Goswami hasn't talked about, and Prabhupada did not talk about, Shiksha Gurus. There are definitely, initiation means Diksha Guru, but then there are Shiksha Gurus also. So they also play an important part, very important part in devotees' devotional life. So Shiksha Guru also, one has to see if he is Uttamadhikari or Madhyamadhikari, because one cannot make progress beyond the Guru's level. So, but one thing is always, we should always consider ourselves as fallen souls, as neophytes, and ready to learn from everybody, ready to serve everybody, and ready to give respect to everybody. Instead of thinking, oh, I am Madhyamadhikari and the other one is Kanishta Adhikari, I should just offer him a bit respects in my mind. Yes, but at the same time, like we studied in Bhagavatam, Narad Muni, when he was speaking to Dhruv Maharaj, that when you meet a person who is on a lower platform than you spiritually, then you should show compassion. And when you meet somebody on an equal level, you should be friendly. When you meet somebody higher, you should respect him, serve him, and ready to learn from him. So that should be our mood. And like we read in the 12 gurus of the Tattva. So he was learning from even birds and snakes and everybody was learning. So that way we can learn from everybody and anybody. Everybody has some good quality that we can learn from. That if I adopt this quality, I can make progress spiritually. So that should be the goal. But at the same time, we have to learn to discriminate also. But not that kind of discrimination that can get us into trouble. So that is the next verse, text number 6. Drishte स्वभाव जनितर वपुषश्च दोषः न प्राकृतत्वम् इह भक्त जनस्य पश्ये गंगां भसां न खलु बुद्ध पंकैः ब्रह्मद्रवत्वम् अपगच्छति निरधर्मैः. So being situated in his original Krishna conscious position, a pure devotee does not identify with the body. Such a devotee should not be seen from a materialistic point of view. Indeed, one should overlook a devotee as having a body born in a low family, a body with a bad complexion, a deformed body, or a diseased or infirm body. According to ordinary vision, such imperfections may seem prominent in the body of a pure devotee. But despite such seeming defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. But despite such seeming defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. It is exactly like the waters of the Ganges, which sometimes during the rainy seasons are full of bubbles, foam, and mud. The Ganges waters do not become polluted. So those who are advanced in spiritual understanding will bathe in the Ganges without considering the condition of the water. So just like Ganges water is always pure, we can see superficially some bubbles, foam, and mud is there, but Ganges water is always pure. And similarly, a devotee, even if he is born in a low family, born with bad complexion, a deformed body, or a diseased or infirm body, but one should not see these from a materialistic point of view, one should not see these seeming defects. The body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. But the problem is we commit offenses seeing this way. And then there is a problem. Shuddha Bhakti, the activity of the soul proper, in other words, engagement in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, is performed in a liberated condition. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Mam cha yoga vicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunam samtitiyata brahma kulyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, Mam chayo avyabhicharya. At once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahma. Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpa. So this is the position of a devotee who's engaged in devotion service, does not fall down. So he is beyond the three modes. Body might be different. The body, the symptoms of the body is spiritual of such a devotee. Avyabhicharini bhakti means unalloyed devotion. A person engaged in devotional service must be free from material motives. In this Krishna consciousness movement, one's consciousness must be changed. If consciousness is aimed towards material enjoyment, if consciousness is aimed towards material enjoyment, it is material consciousness. And if it is aimed towards serving Krishna, it is Krishna consciousness. So we always talk about Krishna consciousness, International Society for Krishna consciousness. We have to become Krishna conscious. What is that? If it is aimed towards serving Krishna, not myself, not for some material gains, only for Krishna, then it is Krishna conscious. A surrendered soul serves Krishna without material considerations. Anya Vilashita. Unalloyed devotional service which is transcendental to the activities of the body and mind, such as jnana, mental speculation, and karma, fruitive work, is called pure bhakti yoga. So bhakti yoga is a proper activity of the soul. And when one actually engages in unalloyed, uncontaminated devotional service, he is already liberated. Sagunam samatityatam brahmabhuyaya. So bhakti yoga is a proper activity of the soul. It's the original activity of the soul. And if somebody is engaged in pure devotional service, then he has to be liberated. He cannot be conditioned. So Krishna's devotee is not subjected to material condition, even though his bodily features may appear materially conditioned. One should therefore not see a pure devotee from a materialistic point of view. Unless one is actually a devotee, he cannot see another devotee perfectly. So sometimes we do have tendency to look at others' bodily defects, and then we pass out comments. Oh, it's his bad karma. That's between him and devotees and Krishna. Who are we to judge? But we love to judge, actually. If somebody is fallen sick and is very sick, oh, it's her karma, it's his karma, what do we have to do with that? No. Whether it is karma, whether it is Krishna's mercy, we don't. All we have to do is serve. Not be judgmental and serve. That's it. Our service, our goal is to please Krishna, not to pass out judgments and then feel good about it. So one should therefore not see a pure devotee from a materialistic point of view. Unless one is actually a devotee, he cannot see another devotee perfectly. Unless one is actually a devotee, he cannot see he cannot see another devotee perfectly. So how can we see anybody perfectly? We can think, we can speculate, we don't see it. As explained in the previous verse, there are three types of devotees: Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, and Uttam Adhikari. The Kanishta Adhikari cannot distinguish between a devotee and non-devotee. He is simply concerned with worshipping the deity in the temple. A Madhyam Adhikari, however, can distinguish between the devotee and non-devotee, as well as between the devotee and the Lord. Thus, he treats the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the devotee and non-devotee, in different ways. But Treating differently is different thing than committing offenses, becoming judgment. That is different. No one should criticize the bodily defects of a pure devotee. In fact, nobody should criticize bodily defects of any devotee. But since the word says about pure devotee, it's talking. If there are such defects, they should be overlooked. What should be taken into account is the spiritual master's main business, which is devotional service, pure service to the Supreme Lord. As mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, api chet suduracharo bhajate mamananya sadhu rev samantavya samyag vyavasito hisa. Even if a devotee sometimes seems to engage in abominable activities, he should be considered a sadhu, a saintly person, because his actual identity is that of one engaged in the loving service of the Lord. In other words, he is not to be considered an ordinary human being. So he is not to be considered. Even if a devotee sometimes seems to be engaged in abominable. Of course, in the purport of this verse, Prabhupada did say engagement in abominable sinful activities or fall down condition. But if it is premeditated, then it's not excusable. If it just happened accidentally, and devotee comes out of it and repents and promises never to engage in it again, shows some character behavior, then he should be considered a sadhu. Because we all are very, very conditioned souls. We all are. If we were not, then we won't be here to begin with. So conditioned souls means we have those sanskaras from previous so many lifetimes. Along with sanskaras come habits. So some are deep-rooted sanskaras, deep-rooted habits. Some are just like passing habits. But deep-rooted sanskara, it's very, very difficult to give them up. Very difficult. And the desires, the tons and tons of desires are there. So all of a sudden, if we think we have become so pure that my mind will not go towards those habits because of sanskaras, very difficult. And if mind goes there, then the body will go there automatically. Sensor will pull the mind, pull the body in. So it takes time, that's all. How much Prabhupada tolerated his disciples. And here Prabhupada was trying to transform their hearts, their mentality, their thought process from being hippie to being devotees. How much he must have tolerated. But he did. If Prabhupada hadn't tolerated, if Prabhupada was judgmental, he was a Mahabharata. What business he had to be in New York among the drug addicts and hippies? He could have just gone back to India. He had his confirmed return ticket. He could have gone back and he could have just told everybody in Vrindavan that, well, I went, I tried, but they're not ready. They're so fallen souls. And just imagine if Prabhupada had gone back, where would we be now? Prabhupada didn't go back. He didn't judge them. He said, I have to work on the orders of my guru and preach. And with so much of patience, tolerance, forbearing, forgiveness, he would see a little spark in a devotee's heart about devotion service, what kind of service he likes. He would forget every other issue that person had. He would just fan that spark and make it a full-fledged fire. There was a devotee in Boston Temple, and he, just like others, he had just joined and he had his sleeping bag and he would just sleep in the corridor, and very dirty, not even take bath properly. And other devotees complained to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, this guy is just crazy. I think they called him Crazy Peter. He's just crazy. We cannot tolerate him. He's dirty. But Prabhupada had seen the spark in that devotee. Prabhupada told them, tolerate him as I tolerate you. So then that was it. There was no other argument left. So they tolerated him. And later he became Hridayananda Maharaj, very, very big scholar. And he is the one, after Prabhupada left, he is the one who, along with Gopi Parandan Prabhu and two other devotees, he wrote the purports of Srimad Bhagavatam from 10th canto, 14th chapter to the 12th canto. So we never know. That's the point. We never know. We just don't. Of course, Prabhupada was a Mahabhagavad. He could see. Here it is told that one should be able to recognize who's Uttamadhikari, who's Madhyam, who's Ganesh. But at the same time, we don't know. Prabhupada did right. Only a devotee can see other devotee perfectly. We can just imagine, we can speculate based on our conditioning, our conditioned consciousness, our conditioned mentality. We can just see it based on that, and then we behave accordingly. But the problem is, in that behavior, we do commit offenses, big time offenses. And when we do that, then bhakti progress stops. So we have to be very, very careful, especially on the path of bhakti. We got to be very careful. Even though a pure devotee may not be born in a Brahman or Goswami family, if he is engaged in the service of the Lord, he should not be neglected. In actuality, there cannot be a family of Goswamis based on material considerations, caste or heredity. The Goswami title is actually the monopoly of the pure devotees. And Goswami has mentioned in first verse, right? Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam jibva vegam udarapastu vegam. Etana vegan yovishaheta dhira sarvam apim prithvim sashit. One who has controlled all these vegas is to be called Goswami. Thus we speak of the 6 Goswamis headed by Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami had practically become Mohammedans and had therefore changed their names to Dabir Khas and Sakar Malik. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself made them Goswamis. Therefore, the Goswami title is not hereditary. The word Goswami refers to one who can control his senses, who's the master of the senses. A devotee is not controlled by the senses, but is a controller of the senses. Consequently, he should be called a Swami or Goswami, even though he may not be born in a Goswami family. So just because somebody is not born in a Goswami family doesn't mean he's not a Goswami or he's not a devotee or he has no control over his senses. So he should not be given proper respect. That should not be the consideration. But caste Brahmins or Smartha Brahmins, this is how they look at everybody. Just like once Prabhupada disciples in Vrindavan, they were going to different temples in Vrindavan. So one temple they went to and Goswami is there, they told them, oh, you are doing such wonderful service, wonderful kirtan and preaching and so many other things. And your own chanting. So we will pray to the Lord to give you birth in a Goswami family in Vrindavan next life. So they came back, they could not answer, they didn't know what to say. So they came back, told Prabhupada, Prabhupada said, you should have told them, oh, Goswamiji, you're doing such wonderful service to the Lord and taking care of deities very nicely. We pray to the Lord that to give you birth in one of the ISKCON devotee family in the West next life, so you can preach. So Prabhupada could say that, we cannot say that. So, well, this is Prabhupada. We cannot say that. We can't even think like that. But the point is anybody who follows the instructions properly, we can become a Goswami. And more than a Goswami, when he becomes a preacher, becoming a preacher is more important than anything else. So I guess I can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments. Okay, you all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Radha.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Jai Shri